After the pandemic, the universities are delighted to have students back on their campuses. For many students, it will be welcome news. Some of them will be entering the university for the first time. And the transition from high school to the university can be quite daunting for many first-year students. Many of them would appear to be unprepared for the challenges they are to face at the university. And the point is, many parents have no idea what goes on in the lives of their students when they enter the university, especially for the first time. I have with me today on the program someone who spent a greater part of her life in the education sector. She'll be sharing her thoughts with us, both as a mother and as an educationist. Let's sit back and watch. Welcome to Student Champions. I hope you will like, share, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Yes, thank you so much, Mrs. Carolina Folabi, for accepting my invitation to be a guest on this program. Would you mind introducing yourself to our viewers? Tell us a little about yourself and what's your current occupation?
My name is Carolina Falabi. I'm originally from Belgium, but for the past, the greatest deal of my life, close to 40 years, I have lived outside Belgium. I lived 7 years in Nigeria and Zimbabwe, and now almost 30 years in the UK. So I've now lived in the UK longer than I ever lived in Belgium. So, to the Geordie person, I'm now an honorary Geordie Belgian, I think I would call myself. Yeah. So I've got 3 children, and luckily, thank God, and with a lot of prayers and going down on my knee, they all went through university, but they all have their own stories, which I'll tell in a minute. My occupation, I didn't have an occupation for life, but I was trained as a teacher of modern foreign languages, French and English and German. But I worked in businesses and in international organizations in Belgium, Nigeria, and Zimbabwe, the UK. But I taught as well. I taught about 10 years. I was a teacher of modern foreign language.
As you just mentioned now, you've been in the education sector for quite a while, and you're someone very passionate about how we educate children and all that. Yeah. And I know, of course, as you mentioned, your own children have been through this sector as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to glean from you, their experience during this period. You would have watched the video of Amaka in one of the series I did earlier. Amaka dropped out of uni in her first year and went into a long spell of depression. Thank God she came out of it and eventually completed her studies after 10 years. See, but there are 2 important factors that became clear from Amaka's experience. 2 things we can learn. The first one is the fact that she mentioned that she was not adequately prepared for life at the university. And the second is the fact that her parents had no idea, first of all, what was going on in her life while she was at uni, and while she was going through her depression. They had no idea whatsoever that she had actually dropped out of uni. So as a parent yourself and one who has worked within this sector, preparing students, can you share your thoughts on Amaka's experience?
Well, first of all, well done for Amaka for, seeing it through, for eventually being able to recognize herself and admit to herself what was going on, and then, talking to her parents, and then finally making the road to recovery and completion. So, but yes, going from secondary school to university is a big transition, and that transition is even more compounded or become if it's from one country to another. is it from one language to another? So, and whether it is you study at home or you study away. I mean, that, that transition is so huge. And I don't think parents fully understand that, unless, of course, they've been to university themselves. But some parents haven't got a clue. So they've worked hard, got the money together, off you go to university, and now you perform, you do the rest, and they think it's quite easy, but it isn't. So, but there's nothing wrong with parents having very high expectation, and especially African parents. So education, education, education is very important. It is your lottery ticket out of poverty. However, God designed all our children as He designed us, with unique gift and talents, with a unique path as well. However much we as parents all want our children to become doctors, lawyers, engineers, architects, professors, economists, not all of them can be, grow up. So God's designed us to do different jobs as well. So, I think one piece of advice I would definitely give to parents is to pray. And I know a lot of parents do pray for their children, but also pray for God to reveal to them the path that God has designed for their children. So that we listen to the Holy Spirit and take guidance from the Holy Spirit as to how to support our children, so that we don't push them into a direction that they really is not meant for them, and God actually has not planned for them either. So that's one thing. And that for the young person, especially the young person, from my experience and my own children experience, is the young person who has grown up here between two cultures. To be able to grow up in those two cultures with different expectations and to navigate in between them also sometimes makes it hard to make that transition to university. That's sort of what I got from Amaka's story, that uh, I don't know whether she came from abroad and then went to America to study. So the preparation of living in a different culture, she didn't have that, and perhaps her parents had not studied abroad either, so her parents weren't able to prepare her for that as well. So yes, and then sort of if I sort of can tell all my children, I hope they're not listening, but in the first term of university, I had them all on the phone crying for different reasons. And I think one of the very, very important things that parents have to do, especially when the children start university, is keeping in touch, communication, communication, communication. So yes, that's very important. And thank God now, this day and age, we have Zoom, we have Skype, we have WhatsApp, and it's made that easier to compare to, my husband. I think in 1 year he didn't even see his parents for a whole year. So, and did not have any communication with his parents for a whole year, apart from some sporadic letters. So, so it is possible now for parents and for children alike, because it's a two-way street, to keep in touch, and that's really crucial during the first year of throughout life.
Yeah,
Really.
I'm glad you thanks. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's where I was heading,
Yeah.
in terms of how much parents need to be involved in the life of their
Yes.
students. Okay,
Yes.
we understand that students who go to uni are diverse. Some are mature. They know why they're going. They have the motivations for wanting to study. But we find 18, 19-year-olds we've talked about who find the transition very huge. And I just wonder how much are universities preparing students, or well, not universities, well, maybe universities, or how much from your experience do you think students are prepared? Because I know you're very much involved with GCSEs, A-level students. Do you know how much they are really prepared for life at uni?
As you said, some are better prepared than others, as some have more support of their parents than others as well. Parents, obviously, who have been to university have a lot more to share and a lot more to prepare their children for than parents than first generation students. Universities are trying to prepare. I mean, there's university body scheme, things like that, but uh, it does not stop somebody from becoming lonely. The systems and the tools are there at university as well. The student unions, there's the body system, but if you yourself feel lonely and feel you cannot reach out, I feel sometimes you are not able to put in words what's going on as well. Sometimes you feel embarrassed and ashamed that rather than asking for help, because it's sometimes very difficult to ask for help. Even in your own case, at one point, do you go and reach out, apart from my husband, saying, I'm not coping. I'm not dealing with this correct. I fear this, I'm dealing with that. To do this then to a person that is not your family or close friends in a complete new environment, that is difficult. You don't say often, and that's why some students just withdraw within themselves, become more and more embarrassed, become more and more ashamed of not coping,
Mm.
and gradually then fall away completely. And I think it's, in the first place, the task of the parents to pick that up, to know what's going on.
Mm.
And then also, for the parents to know, because if the parents are living in another country, who can they reach out to help their
Exactly.
child?
Exactly.
And it can be the university. Some parents have, family members there, or close family friends. However, it is still the parents' task first, because I know some parents think, well, because their child is an uncle and auntie or a close family friend, they don't need to look after the spiritual and mental well-being of their children. It's been, you know, they're in a family, they know very well they're with family, and therefore my child should be okay. Or some parents think that if my child's found a good local church, that this church would look after the spiritual and mental well-being of their child. It is always still the parents' first task to check how their child are doing, and that's just keeping communication lines open, and you know
Well, again, thank you so much. Again, I suppose it all also depends on the students. Some of them might feel that, oh, I'm out of home now. They shouldn't bother me. I'm old enough to look after myself. You know, so sometimes, in fact, from my experience of being in that sector, you come across different categories of students. The ones that are withdrawn and lonely, who just get lost, like Amaka did, in her own case. They get lost, or you find, in fact, the series that will be coming this next, some get to the other extreme where they get lost in the system, in terms of they get wild through being free, because some of them maybe have come from homes where they've been so restricted and monitored, and suddenly find themselves so free that they take the freedom to the other extreme, that they actually forget that they're there to study. They just find themselves, enjoying nightlife, going out with friends and all that. We see a lot of them sometimes when you drive through Newcastle at night, weekends, you just, pre-COVID, before COVID, you just
yeah,
shake your
yeah.
head and think, oh my God, I'm sure the parents will think that their students are studying. It's some of them just choose universities where they can enjoy nightlife, forgetting that
Mhm,
that is not the purpose for which they are there.
mhm,
And one of my videos, I shared the story of a family came all the way from one of the countries in Africa, a wealthy family who, sent their son to study here in England. And after 3 years, they came for graduation, thinking that their son has studied. Of course, he was lying to them all the time. and they came to find that he was actually not at uni. He didn't graduate. So, you really feel sorry for such parents. They've invested so much, probably been sending him money every year. He was living, bought flashy cars, living, a lifestyle of bourgeoisies and things. But anyway, yeah, so I'm just wondering, I know that universities have support systems in place, but really some students are very good at taking this up, some are not. So if you are a student watching this program, please make every effort. Universities are very keen that students succeed, they get all the support. In fact, the student union is there, they have welfare sections, career sections are not there. You need to take advantage of these opportunities provided, these support mechanisms and systems in place. Don't get lost. The world has become very competitive and you need to work extra hard. There are more people chasing fewer positions. In fact, these days you put in an application, you see over hundreds of people applying for maybe 10 positions. So you've got to work extra hard. Thank you very much. I don't think I want to take too much of your time.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Before we go, I was just thinking there, is there anything extra that universities can do? Just before we round up this session, is there anything extra that universities themselves can do to ensure that students are not lost?
Yes.
In this.
I don't know, maybe they are already doing it, but schools and universities track their children academic programs, but now more and more schools also track the behavioral, emotional progress of their pupils. I think universities could learn from schools and do that with their university students as well. Maybe some universities already do that, but I don't know of any. But so that the emotional health and well-being is also followed as closely as the academic progress.
Yes. Well, I think it's really, thank you. It might even be more pertinent now with the isolation that students have had for some time. Coming back, I think, it might be necessary to do some mental health check to find out the state of the students and those that might need additional support.
Yes.
Well,
but we tried to help as well during COVID. A lot of our sixth form volunteers were really struggling because they were in their final year of sixth form, and we know of a few that we didn't get any response anymore from them, and then later hear that they didn't even take up their university place or things like that. So I think COVID has made a lot of young people disconnect from first school life, family, friends, and some of them have, everything was online, but that they went too much on social media and withdrew more of real life into virtual life, with probably being drawn into the wrong things on social media, so much so that it affected their mental health.
Yes, I think I've done, I've had interviews with some students that will be coming up shortly. Well, I wouldn't want to take too much of your time. I want to say a very big thank you for coming along. I believe that our viewers have been blessed from some of the insights, what we have shared. Thank you. I hope you have been blessed by our discussions today about how much parents know what is going on in the lives of their children at university. Please, if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, do so. And don't forget to leave your comments, to like and share this video. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching.